You say ain't no foreigners up in here. We ain't Mexican, African, none of that shit. I'm American.
You know what, y'all? Believe not every spirit. Do you hear me, FBA? Believe not every spirit. First of all, to me, this video is quite suspect. First of all, they can't even keep the camera still. Notice that camera never stops on the female or the dude in there. It's just going back and forth. I mean, you could get dizzy, man, just sitting there watching that video, man, because not one time did they keep that camera still. And they didn't sound like foundational Black Americans to me. And see, you have a lot of foreigners out there that actually practice how to sound and act like they Black American. These two sound like they're doing a bit too much. And the things that they're saying, we're not Mexican, African, or nothing. You know, I just got out of jail and I was arrested and I was drinking, and all of these stereotypes, man, y'all have to pay attention to. Okay? It just seemed quite suspect because that camera, see, a lot of people now, their drive is sensationalism, feelings, you know. They see what appears to be foundational Black Americans and people get all emotional, you know, they get all in an uproar. See, you can't believe every spirit. We're now living in times where discernment is very important, man. Discernment, spiritual discernment is so important. You can't believe everything you hear and you can't believe everything you see, because in many cases, what you see is not really what's there, and what you think you hear is not really what you hear. So you need that spiritual discernment to be able to tell the difference between a lie and the truth, right? Now, again, that video to me seemed quite suspect. And when it did flash by the dude looked like he had dreads. I don't know of too many Black Americans that's got hair that long, okay? Just from the video, I didn't see the female. It was just going back and forth, and all you can really see is what looked like the ICE officers, and they were doing a bit too much. They were loud, and they were just running their mouth, and usually Black Americans, man, and when you don't have anything to hide, in many cases, in most cases, you calm. You know, you cool, you collect it, you show them your ID. If they're asked for ID, you show it to them. I think if I were to get stopped by ICE, and I want to, I mentioned this before, I want to have that ICE experience. I want to have it. I want to experience ICE. You know, I wouldn't rail at them and curse at them, and you know, I wouldn't resist, man. I'd sit there, give them their ID, give them what they asked for, because you have a lot of immigrants here that practice how to sound and how to act like Black Americans. They try to blend in because of melanin. So the ICE officers have to do their job. They have to check you. And unfortunately, like I mentioned in a prior video, you're going to have some Black Americans that get caught up in the web. You're going to have some legal migrants that get caught up in the web. There's no need to get all emotional and bent out of shape. Just give them what they asked for. You know, why would I sit there and argue and curse at them? You know, just give them what they asked for. You need some ID, here you go. You know, just prove who you are and then go on about your business. But to sit there and argue with them, and both of them look like they got their cameras out and they just running off at the mouth, and you know, and it's just a bunch of confusion, and you really don't see nothing because that camera, they can't keep it still. It's going back and forth, right? So you really don't know what's going on there. See? So you got a lot of fakers out there, man. You got a lot of fakers, and they're good at faking. This may be real. They may be Black Americans, but I don't know of too many Black Americans that act and sound like that. Especially when you're pulled over by law enforcement or you just got out of jail and you've been drinking. You're not going to just be talking like that. You're not going to be running your mouth like that. So this video is quite suspicious. I don't believe it. I really don't believe it. I think it's, I don't believe it, right? So again, y'all have to be careful what you see and what you hear. And I'm going to be doing a video on YouTube, and maybe I might drop the video on TikTok, but in today's time, you need spiritual discernment. You need spiritual discernment because you can't believe most of what you see and most of what you hear, because the devil is very crafty in this time. We're living in an age, man, where we're dealing with demonic energy. We're dealing with a bunch of demons. And if they can get you caught up in emotionalism, colorism, everything is a racist, everything is bad and everything is Trump and you're trying to destroy me, and you can't get caught up into that. You have to be quiet. You have to learn to be quiet, man, and just sit back and observe. Just sit back and watch. Be still. You need to learn to be still. You moving around too much. You got cameras going on. And both of you running your mouth at the same time. And, the guy got the ID, and then all of a sudden you got these what look like ICE officers coming out. And you got a lot of fake ICE officers out there too. See, you guys see these videos what look like ICE officers, and they're not. These are people that just put on uniforms and they do crazy things just to get views, just to make ICE look bad or make this Trump administration look bad. So there's a lot of fake ICE officers out there. There's a lot of fake, Black Americans, because you got migrants that's practicing how to sound and how to act like Black Americans because they don't want to be targeted by ICE. They're hiding by ICE. Remember back in the Bible, man, where it talked about, even in biblical days, man, you had Israelites, man, that hid among certain groups of people because they were melanated. They hid Yeshua when he was little, right? So Moses, I think it was, Moses hid among the Egyptians, right? So you got to have discernment nowadays, man, and just don't get caught up in everything that you see on social media, because what you see, just like the message, that song, what you see on TV is telling you what life is supposed to be. But when you look outside, the only thing you see is poverty-stricken reality. So you can't believe everything you see and hear. But this video is quite suspect. It's quite suspect. And don't get caught up in everything like, oh, ICE is arresting us and I'm Black American. I'm not Mexican. I'm not African. And why do you need to say that? Why was it even necessary to say something like that? Especially if you got nothing to hide. Just be still. Give them what they asked for and go on about your business. And keep the camera still.